How well do you honor and respect the leadership that you are currently sitting under? That leadership may be on your job, in your household, at your church, or the organization that you volunteer for. Ask yourself, how well are you respecting and honoring that leadership? Because the answer to that question may very well determine whether or not you are prepared to lead. Today, we're continuing our leadership series, and we're focusing on the importance of honoring leadership. See, before God can trust you to lead, He will often test your ability to honor and follow respectfully the leadership that you are under. Too many people sow dishonor when under leadership. Then they wonder why they reap resistance, disloyalty, and rebellion when they step into leadership themselves. See, Galatians 6:7 reads, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap." The way we follow will impact the way we lead if we are ever given the opportunity to lead. And look, I know it is not always easy to honor the leadership that you are sitting under. I've been there. I've been blessed to sit under incredible leaders, but I've also had the misfortune of sitting under not so great leadership. So I get it. I understand that when you're sitting under great leadership, it's a heck of a lot easier to honor and respect those leaders. I think for myself, I've been blessed to sit under individuals who I deem to be incredible leaders. I think about one in particular who I felt like she just embodied good feminine leadership. She affirmed others. She ensured that the voices of everyone was respected and listened to. She created a culture of collaboration instead of competitiveness. She was just an all-around dynamic leader. And so it was easier for me to honor and respect her. I delighted in honoring and respecting her. But I've also sat under leaders who were insecure and dismissive and devalued people instead of affirming them. And even under those leaders, I knew, especially because I'm a Christian, I was called to honor them. But at times I know that it is extremely difficult to do so. And I know that some of you may be sitting under not so great leadership and may be finding it very challenging to honor that leadership. And so that's why today I want to share with you some tips and some words of wisdom that will make it easier for you to honor leadership. Because once again, how you follow will determine how you lead if you are ever put in the position to lead. So, my first tip to help you with honoring those who are in leadership is just to recognize you don't know everything. You don't see the full burden that leaders are carrying. You don't know what they had to go through in order to get into the position that they are in. You don't know the stress, the mental anguish, the sleepless nights that they are enduring to remain in that position of leadership. You simply don't have the full picture. You only see in part. You don't know everything. Therefore, you are not qualified to harshly judge what you don't fully know and understand. That is why so many times in scripture, we are told not to judge. You don't know the full reasons why that leader is deciding to make that specific decision, or why they are deciding to go in one direction over the other. You don't know what knowledge they are privy to that you are not. So if you are struggling with harshly judging the leadership that you are under, remember that those leaders are human beings and they are a work in progress, just like you and I are. They are not perfect. They're not going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. And more than likely, they are doing the best with the capacity that they have. Next tip to help you honor the leadership that you are under, because it does determine your experience or the experience that you will have if you are given the opportunity to lead, is Romans 13:1. This scripture says, "Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, For there is no authority except that which God has established. So even if you are finding it challenging to respect the human being who is in leadership or in a position of authority, focus on honoring the God that gave that person the authority. There are times where we won't understand why God has allowed someone to be in a position of leadership, but it's okay. We don't have to understand. We just need to know that God is all-knowing and that He doesn't make any mistakes. I believe sometimes we as people, we may not understand why others are put into positions, but maybe God has put that person in that position because they can execute just one thing that's a part of God's ultimate plan really well. They may not be executing anything else really well, but they're put in that position to finalize and execute just that one thing. Sometimes I think maybe God allows us to be under the leadership of those who are corrupt and unrighteous in order for us to really understand why He exhorts us to pray for righteous leaders. See, sometimes you have to deal with the stress of unrighteous and corrupt and bad leaders to understand why you need to be consistently praying for righteous leaders. The thing is, I can speculate all day the many reasons why some people are in positions of leadership and some aren't. But the most important point that I want to drive home is ultimately human authority comes from God. And so even if you don't understand why, honor God and respect that leadership and authority that you are under. All right. So now at this point in the video, I know that some of you are probably yelling at your screen and saying, no, I'm not going to be a yes man or a yes woman, just blindly following people. And what if it's corrupt leadership? I'm not going to submit to that. I'm not going to follow that. I'm not just going to sit there and not challenge anything. And so for those of you who are feeling that way right now, I want to make it crystal clear. I am not instructing anyone to be a yes man or a yes woman, but I am telling you there is a way that you can respectfully present your point of view to leadership without dishonoring the leadership that you are under. And this leads me to my third and final tip. It goes back to the principle of reaping and sowing. And it's simply support leaders the way that you want to be supported. Engage with leaders the way that you want to be engaged with. Provide feedback to leaders the way that you would like someone to provide feedback to you. Present your perspective to that leader in a way that you would want someone to present a different or alternative perspective to you. It's just that simple. It's the golden rule. Treat people how you want to be treated. The thing is, if you find yourself in a space where you're not agreeing with the decisions that leadership is making, and you just can't continue to sit under that leadership without gossiping and being divisive and being disrespectful and challenging that leader in public and just blatantly dishonoring them, then maybe it's time for you to go and get from under that leadership, because your blatant disrespect of that leadership is just sowing seeds of rebellion into your own future if, again, you are given the opportunity to lead. I just feel very strongly that if you cannot follow well, you can't follow the direction of an organization or a church or a team respectfully, then you should go. It doesn't matter if you need to leave your job. It doesn't matter if you need to leave a church that your family founded, that you've been a part of for years, or an organization that you sat on the board of. If you can no longer follow the direction and honor that leadership, then go. If you can't remain and follow in whatever organization or place of employment that you belong to without gossiping and complaining and undermining and plotting, then you need to go. Get from under that leadership. Leave. Move on. We do not need more bitter, resentful, divisive followers becoming bitter, resentful, and divisive leaders. If you can't sow seeds of honor while under leadership, then you are not ready to lead. Period. You need to grow up before you step up. It is so immature to just remain in a place, gossiping and backbiting and being bitter and just sowing seeds of division. Just go. Be mature. Do the mature thing. I know I've been in work environments where people who have been in a place for 20 years, they're so frustrated because they felt like they got passed over or were slighted in some way. And all they're doing is just being busybodies and gossiping and complaining. And the whole time I'm thinking, make a different decision and go. You clearly are not happy with the leadership. And that's what I would tell you today. Gotta grow up before you step up. And so I'll close by simply reminding you, honor leadership, not because they deserve it, but because it shapes the kind of leader you will become. Sow what you want to reap. We have too many leaders right now who are stressed out and frustrated with their team's lack of support because when they were in a position to follow and had the option to follow well, to follow in a respectful and supportive and honoring way, they chose not to. And now that they are in the position of a leader, they are catching the hell that they once doled out. And I obviously don't want that for you. And so my hope and my prayer is that you apply the words of wisdom that has been shared in this video. All right, we're going to be continuing this series on, are you ready to lead? Can you handle the weight of leadership? Are you fit to lead? We're going to be digging into all of that in the upcoming videos. And so I'll see you the next time.